Chapter 18, Trust, Kelly's Perspective. I heard Lypye knocking very fast on my bedroom door. I had locked it. Kelly, please, let me in. Go away! I screamed, crying. I was really scared. Kelly, she sighed. I'm sorry. I never wanted you to know. I stayed silent for a little bit, wiping my tears. Does Mommy know? She was the first one to know. We had made the decision together that we wouldn't tell you. I took a deep breath and walked to the door, unlocking it and opening it. Why not? She sat down in the doorway, crisscrossed. Many reasons. We wanted you to have a normal life. We didn't want to scare you. We didn't want my whereabouts to be discovered. She slowly reached her hand out to me and I backed away, scared. She lowered her head and looked down. I knew this would happen. I stared at her. When I looked at Syara, I saw similarities between her and Lypye. When I look at Lypye, all I see is Syara, my aunt. I've read books about Lypye. This isn't who I read about. She's been taking care of me for years. Why would I be afraid now? Why am I afraid now? I'll be downstairs when you're ready to talk, she mumbled, standing up and closing the door. I walked over to my table next to my bed. There was a canvas painting sitting on it that Syara and I had worked on. It was a picture of us and Mommy. She was good at drawing, so she painted what we looked like and I colored it in. I giggled. I had spilled the brown paint on Sarah's lap after my elbow hit it. Some of it was on her arm and she dabbed her finger in it, then booped my nose as a joke. I did the same with purple paint. Both of us needed to wash our clothes and wash off after we were done. It's Mommy's birthday present, even though her birthday isn't for 8 more months. There was something next to it, a headband that was black and metal with a very pretty design on it. Syara gave it to me. She told me that Jay and Mommy helped her pick it out when she was a teenager. I stared at the door. No way she faked all of that emotion just to pretend to like being around me, right? I ran to my closet and pulled out a history book I found once at the playground. Flipping through it, I flipped through to the history of Lypye Syara. I didn't understand everything. One thing I found interesting was that Jawaria and Pantheria found Lypye with Kar's body. Lypye killing Kar was an assumption. No one listened to Lypye before kicking her out of the god world. That would make me so mad. Guess that's why Lypye acted up for a long time. I looked over at the door again. I should say sorry. I heard a soft knock on the door. Quickly, I closed the history book, threw it in the closet, then ran to my bedside table. Mommy opened the door and I flipped the painting upside down. Hey, she said. Can we talk? I looked up at her and nodded, staying silent. She scooped me up into a cradle position, then sat down on my bed with me. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done what I did. She teared up a little. I didn't even notice I was hurting you. I'm also sorry for being a troublemaker. You don't need that in your life. She grabbed my hand lightly. It's okay, Mommy, I told her. No, it's not. She kissed my forehead. I'll get better for you. She sighed. Syara also tells me that you discovered her secret. I nodded. She yelled at me to go inside. She was scared. I saw the invisible huntress fall out of a tree and Syara transformed into Lypye. I was so scared, so I hid in my room. I started crying. I feel really bad. She pulled me into a hug and hugged me tight, then laid down with me on my bed. We laid next to each other, staring at the ceiling. You know, she sighed. I wouldn't do anything to intentionally put you in any danger. I know. I wish someone would have told me, I told her. Jawaria told us that it would be better if you didn't know. You're just a kid. No need to get you involved in God business. She explained. I'm too involved as it is. I sat up and looked at her. Should I say sorry? Do you want to? She asked. I don't know. She smirked and tickled my tummy. I laughed a lot and fell backwards, laying down again. What do you mean you don't know? I continued laughing. Okay. She stopped and sat up. It's up to you. I sat up. I want to, but I grabbed her arm. Come with me? I stood up. She stood up and picked me up, setting me on her hip. I'm your mother. I'm going to help support you. I rested my head on her shoulder. She walked with me down the stairs. Syara, Lypye. She was sitting on the couch watching TV. Her eyes were red. Had she been crying? She was wearing a pink silk spaghetti strap tank top and black sweatpants. Her hair was in a loose ponytail. Hey there, Lypye said softly. I lifted my head up. Mommy, can you please put me down? She put me down and I ran over to Lypye, climbing up onto the couch next to her. I looked at her and hugged her. I'm sorry. She hugged me back. I'm sorry too. I should have told you. Mommy told me that Juwaria didn't want me to know. I told her, letting go. I get it. She let go and looked down at her lap. Does this hurt our friendship? I giggled. No, I shrugged. It was a surprise. I read a history book on you once. She stayed quiet for a bit. Where did you get a history book? Found it. Where? Playground. She crossed her arms and looked at me. Do you still have this book? No, I lied. Kelly? She warned. Please can I keep it? I begged. Yes. Wait, no, Lypye told me. Yes, Mommy cut in. Jazz? Lypye warned. I'm still her mother. Mommy snapped. Lypye sighed. Fine, we'll sanitize it later. I crawled into Lypye's lap and hugged her, resting my head on her shoulder. Do we have to tell Juwaria that I know? Lypye hugged me back. No, the less the gods know, the better. I looked over at Mommy. She seemed blank. She wasn't happy or sad or mad. She showed nothing. She noticed me looking at her and she gave me a little smile. I hugged Lypye tighter. There was something about Mommy that really scared me. But what?
Chapter 19. Steal. Lypye and Jasmine's perspectives. Lypye's perspective. A few weeks passed. Jazz seemed to be getting better, both in attitude and with Kelly. She appeared to be going back to her old self, but was it all an act to not make me suspicious? I was in the kitchen, making a roast beef and Swiss sandwich for me and Jazz. I was wearing a purple crop top and black pajama pants. Kelly was asleep upstairs. Jazz read her a bedtime story and put her to sleep. Placing a sandwich on each of the two small plates in front of me, I picked them up and brought them into the living room. Jazz, who was wearing a black t-shirt that exposed some of her belly, black skinny jeans, and black boots, was concentrating on using her telekinesis to make the TV remote float. I really don't think you should be using your powers in the area that puts you in risk of being seen by Kelly, I pointed out, setting the plates on the coffee table. It's fine. If she sees me, I could use the god of mentality's power of amnesia on her. She replied, setting the remote on the table with her powers. If you use amnesia on her, she could end up forgetting more than just seeing you with your powers, I pointed out. Have you ever used that power? She shook her head. Haven't needed to. I took a deep breath. But let me get this straight. You're willing to attempt to use a power on your 3-year-old daughter that you have zero clue if you know how to control? Don't you see how dangerous and reckless that is? She crossed her arms and I sat down next to her. She stared at me, pissed. I've used a lot of my powers and haven't lost control of any of them. Why would I believe I'd lose control over that one? You've been using your powers way too much in public, I pointed out. I've been protecting you. You've been suspected of being a supermodel multiple times and I pushed that thought away. You will be your own downfall if you're not too careful. Everyone knows about my powers and has been telling me to hide my powers. My mother, Michelle, the Syara team, you. She stood up. I have powers and I'm still seen as a weak link. Like I need to be protected. She grabbed my arm and yanked me to my feet. Honestly though, I think you're afraid that I'm more powerful than you. I'm afraid of your powers controlling you, I yelled. Jazz let go of my arm and took a few steps back. My powers aren't controlling me. Your powers flipped the second you found out about your powers. You believe you're untouchable because of your powers. She got into my face. I am untouchable. That's why the gods are afraid of my kind. They're afraid of anything and anyone who has too much power. The gods have a good reason to be afraid of a super immortal. I teared up. I've kept this a secret because I love you. You're my little sister. Don't make me turn you in. She smirked. Let's see how well the gods will be at stopping me. She walked to the front exit and I ran after her. Where the fuck are you going? I asked. To prove a point. She chuckled and quickly ran out the door. Jazz! I ran out the entrance, but she was gone. I looked back at the house nervously. She's going for the spell, but I can't leave Kelly alone. I also can't take her with me. I ran inside, slammed the door shut, then pulled out my phone and calling a number. Hello? I heard softly on the other side. Hey, Michelle? It's Lypye. I need you to do me a favor and watch Kelly. If any are ready, bring a super immortal weapon with you, I explained. One of my drones could immobilize a super immortal temporarily. Is the invisible huntress after Kelly? No. She's just observing her. Kelly's mother is the other super immortal. Jazz is a super immortal? She asked. Yes. Get here as fast as you can. I'll explain more when you get here. I hung up the phone as I heard Kelly run down the stairs. What's going on? She asked, running up to me. I'm going to have Mickey watch over you for a while. I need to talk to your mom, I told her. Is Mommy in trouble? She mumbled. Maybe. Jasmine's perspective. I ran to City Hall, hands clenched in anger. Lypye would never swallow her pride and admit that she's afraid. All the other gods would be afraid of me too, if they knew. Let Lypye tell the other gods. They can't stop me. I bet that's why they locked up the other supermodels. Fear. They were afraid of Lypye. They shunned her until she was caught doing something terrible, then banished her without an explanation from her. She turned out good, but really angry. They were afraid of Kelly because she's a demigod. They had a trial over her life as an infant. She's a really intelligent and well-behaved child. They never once trusted Carl because he was half immortal. All he ever knew was evil. He admittedly told me that he's been doing a lot to help me because he's learned to love me like a sister. They locked up all the other supermodels in a sealed portal. I bet you the gods couldn't handle anyone stronger than him. Where is the entrance? I closed my eyes and held up my hand, attempting to feel the pull of the entrance to the god world. Opening my eyes, I ran to the side of City Hall and put my hand on the wall. Open! I yelled, tensing up. The door shot open, revealing a bright white light. I used the power of invisibility so I wasn't seen by anyone as I walked through the entrance. The only gods I had to look out for were the gods of supernatural and illusion. A god can see through a power I use if they themselves possess that power. Queen Hina's office, I thought. I felt someone tug on my arm, but when I looked, no one was there. I stood there, feeling dumbfounded, until something clicked in my head. The tug I was feeling was me trying to lead myself to the office. I was walking slowly, trying not to make noise, as I led myself down a winding pathway to the office. Right before I got to the door, it slammed open. Queen Hina walked out nervously. I need to go to the Syara team. She closed her eyes and sighed, walking around the corner. I watched her disappear around the corner, then snuck quietly into her office. Where would she keep it? I scanned the room until I noticed a labeled filing cabinet behind her desk. I walked over and examined the tags. Queen duties, common spells, kids' accomplishments, dangerous spells. That one seems promising. I pulled on the file drawer, but it was locked. Of course. I kneeled down, looking through the keyhole. Using my telekinesis, I focused on the lock and unlocked the drawer. I pulled the drawer open, slowly. I started scanning through the files until I heard a noise behind me. I froze and looked behind me. I didn't see anyone, but I heard a couple voices. I couldn't make out what they were saying, nor did I care enough to use my powers to find out. Using my telekinesis, I pushed the door slightly closed. Not enough to completely close it, but enough so no one saw the open filing cabinet. I rolled my eyes and continued speaking. I came across a spell. Super Immortal Portal closed and open. This seems promising. To open the portal, I need to make a potion with sage, water, candles, 3 drops of demigod blood, and a magical phrase. Let power reign once again. Let the superior show no mercy as the true rulers take their rightful place. To close the portal, use the 9 pillars. 8 of the pillars are in the north and south areas of the god world. 4 are in the throne room, the cat statues. I looked through the walls until I spotted the other 5. 4 more on the south end in the middle of the hallway between the royal children's bedrooms. The ninth pillar, the demigod pillar, was close to the south end, but in the center of the old grand hall. The ones controlling the pillars would have to shout "close" all at the same time. According to history, after the incident with King and Kim 19,000 years ago, back when Kim revealed herself as evil, the room with the demigod pillar was left in rubble. The walls were cracked, the floor was destroyed, and there were spiderwebs everywhere. My only guess was that Queen Hina and King Taigon couldn't bear to be in there anymore. It reminds them of Kim. The north and south pillars are to be controlled by 8 gods, while the center is to be controlled by the demigod whose blood was used to open the portal. If that demigod is destroyed, a new demigod will be needed to create a new portal, a portal created by all existing gods of Karth. I quickly closed the drawer and, with the spell, snuck back out of the god world. I smirked, staring at the portal standing on the side of City Hall. I will prove the gods wrong. I looked up, seeing sparks on the roof, and I know who's going to help me do it.